joining us, former fighter pilot MJ Vinod joining us. How long do you think, or how much capability do you think Iran has to continue to mount these counterattacks, particularly on Israel and US bases? I'm not talking about the drone attacks that we've been talking, but what are their real air capabilities, their jets, their missiles? How long are they going to last?
Good question. In fact, I've traveled to Dubai very often. Just a couple of days ago, I was there. And these are places very, very familiar to me, where the attacks are happening. And as we speak, a lot of my friends are currently stuck there. In fact, one of them, just before this news, I talked to him very close to Burj Khalifa. He lives. And they all, like you said, are in their car park basements, and some of them have taken refuge, believe you me, in the metro stations, where the metro station is under the ground. So it is a panic, and Dubai, since UAE is probably coming to the Emiratis coming together, and its inception has not seen such a kind of attack on its soil.
Yes.
So in the modern days, we have now, if you go back to known history, as Dubai or UAE has been this kind of an attack never. So this is something new for Dubai. That said, just taking on your question as to how, I had the opportunity of looking at the low-cost drones of Iranians given to Pakistan, which was launched against us, many of which did not reach the target and landed. So I have the opportunity of looking at it up and close, intact. So these are extremely low-cost drones, and like we make it so. I know the exact cost. The cost to cost these drones would
okay, so I'm just,
come down
Captain
to
Vinod, just give me 30 seconds
rupees.
Because I'm just speaking to the PCR here. We're just going to reorient this screen. Let's do it this way. You keep the guests on the left of your screen, one above the other. So let's open a 3 window with the guests on the left, and let's keep all the visuals on the right and split the screen, if we can, in 4. If that can be done, I would be delighted. What we're seeing, viewers, and let's just look at these pictures for a few seconds. On the left of your screens at the bottom are visuals that came from yesterday.
Yes.
This is when Dubai was experienced the first wave, so to speak, and you had the Fairmont Hotel that was hit. Now, we don't know what exactly happened there. How is it that that particular projectile, was it an intercepted fragment that fell? And on the right, of course, is the Burj Khalifa, again from last night. But in the middle of your screens, we are being told that these are visuals that are coming from, where are these visuals in the middle of your screens coming from? Do we have an idea? From Doha. We are being told that these visuals are from Doha. What's happening? Let's blow them up here on the screen behind me. Let's see what this is. Let's see what this is. General Pandey, what do you make of these pictures that are coming in from Doha? Let's put those visuals out. Can we put those visuals out?
Yes,
there they are.
one.
Look at the swarms. What are these projectiles that are coming through? There are all sorts of birds flying around. There is also, we can see some activity on the ground. There is the minaret of a mosque, and behind that there is a plume of smoke. So clearly some building, it appears, could have been targeted. I'm not quite sure. The pictures are very grainy.
Clearly,
but what are we seeing?
One drone, I think these are also drone attacks in Doha.
Right.
The one, we've not captured the drone in this one, but there is a plume of smoke, so something has landed, and there is a siren that can also be heard in one section of that.
So why Doha?
Yeah, so that is where I think the Iranians have gone wrong. I think they've ensured their isolation, and not only their isolation, in fact the isolation of the entire Shia community for some time to come in the future by carrying out strikes, while they are saying that they are carrying out strikes on the military objectives. But actually, if you've seen in last couple of hours, all the strikes are at civilian infrastructure.
But why Doha? Why would you suddenly choose Doha, which is pretty much at the bottom, a little out of the way?
No, it's not. They need to. They made a commitment when they started. The whole thing started. Rather not whole thing started. Anywhere where the US bases are, we are going to carry out strikes. That was the commitment they made.
Yes, sir.
The point is, what does Iran want? Iran wants it to become a regional war, because it wants that America and Israel should feel a pressure. Because they cannot fight for too long. Iran has a problem. It has a stockpile of missile almost about 2,500. It won't last more than 5 to 6 days if they have to fight with the same intensity. The same Middle East countries which were by and large with Iran to some extent, Saudi, UAE, they declared they will not give their airspace. But what has happened? The Iran, while it was hitting toward basically military bases, in addition to the military bases, it has also hit the civilian targets. Now the complete Middle East countries.
So General Sivaj, what we're hearing is there's an activation of air raid sirens in Kuwait and Bahrain. So these are now widespread. This is yesterday. Yesterday's entire modus operandi playing out again. So this we began to see towards about 4 or 5 in the evening India time, which was perhaps more in the afternoon. So General Sivaj, why are they choosing, first of all, the day to do this? You had the entire night. Is there a difference between day and night anymore? So I want to ask both the General first you.
See, the point is, as far as the drones are concerned, the drone technology of Iran is one of the best. The Shahid drones which were used by Russia in Ukraine, they could penetrate or they could go deep inside Ukraine and did a lot of damage. So the Shahid drones of Iran is known. Now, initially, Iran has only hit the military bases which are there in Middle East. But then they changed their strategy. They said that in addition to military strategy, they start hitting the civilian target. And that is the time when in Doha also it has taken place. And then you find the complete scenario changing. All, the governments in Middle East, whether it is Saudi, UAE, you can say Bahrain, Qatar, they have become negative toward Iran. So Iran, as it is, doesn't have too many friends.
So you know what we're going to do? What we're going to do is that we're going to look at some of the missile technologies. We've got graphics on that of Iran and also of Israel. So we'll pull those graphics out in just a few moments. But General Pandey, there is finite and limited stockpiles. How is Iran going to augment? Because we saw also, I mean, this also applies to Israel, by the way. The Iron Dome was also overwhelmed last time, and we saw some important targets in Tel Aviv being struck by hypersonic missiles that came out of Iran. So both countries have that problem. How do you replenish stockpiles quickly? How does Iran do it, for instance?
Rahul, it is incorrect comparison between Israel's industry and Iran industry. What has happened is that a very significant portion of ballistic missiles under storage conditions were taken out at 8 months back, right, during the land rise.
So you're talking about Iran right now?
Iran. Okay. The second is Israel and US are not targeting only Tehran or certain military bases. Their targets are entirely onto the defense infrastructure where ballistic missiles are being made. If you recall, in the last night, in the a couple of hours back, there were ordnance bases which have been struck in this thing, which are far away. They are towards the eastern side of Iran, which is at a great distance, and they have been struck and destroyed. So, a very calibrated strikes are being done, which is very intelligent from US and Israel, onto the places where the manufacturing of military equipment is going to take place. In case of Israel, while Israel is a smaller nation, it has got a very close, coordinated air defense system, and the Air Force of Iran doesn't have a capacity today even to fly out of his own country. So they have to rely only on ballistic systems. Now you're saying about why is it during daytime? In technology today, day or night doesn't matter. Second is they need to carry out not sneak attacks. They will have to carry out attacks in waves. So when you look at that, IRGC saying this is the sixth wave of attack, that means a large number of missiles or drones are launched, something which
let's have a look at the comparison between Israel and Iran's projectiles, their missile systems, and so on and so forth. Let's project this onto the screen.
I think a comparison of their military capacity. So the overall manpower, Israel is active personnel much lesser than what on paper would be from Iran. I think 1/5 of it, 170,000 active personnel on Israeli side, 610,000.
So there's not much in it. There's not much in it.
I don't think how much it matters whether Israel has that much active, serving personnel.
Given the fact that it's not a ground operation,
and this is not a man-to-man fight in any case. These are all military fights.
So you wanted to make a point?
ground attacks.
Yeah.
Ground attacks.
The
So
point
these
is
are-
that
No, but this
the-
is the total aircraft number. 597 on the side of the Israelis, 551. Now, this is an interesting number. There's
Correct.
not much
So
to
let's
choose
talk a
here.
little bit
No, no,
about
see the air power which is there with Iran is all obsolete.
Obsolete.
The biggest
What-
problem
what-
is that
what
the air power
aircraft,
is
what aircraft is
they have an old origin of a Chinese and Russian version. They are not even the fourth generation aircraft. The problem with the Iran is their air defense and air power is far inferior compared to Israel and America.
Effectively, they don't have an air force, isn't
So
it?
they depended on what? They depended on ballistic missile and the cruise missile.
General
So
sir.
that is what they did it.
Countries invest, based on their strength. The strength of Iranians was ballistic missile systems, right? So they have invested. They don't have the sanctions of last about 40 years has ensured that they have not been able to actually build up the technology to take on a good modern air force. The second is when you're looking at the numbers, you're comparing numbers of 14th military power with 15th or 16th military power. They are neck to neck in terms of numbers and whole numbers. But when you add the two carrier strike forces,
But look at the artillery
and you
difference,
add
sir.
about 150 modern aircrafts
Does
which are
this-
there in the region.
Why
then
is there
it
such a
changes.
big differential where rocket projectors as well as artillery pieces? There's a big difference, and it's sort of
Why does
veers
Iran
towards-
have much more than Israel?
Okay, in this rocket projectile systems, again, I just said that a country decides on a strategy. The country's strategy was not on Air Force because that was a major challenge to build up equipment, train, fly, and so the air defense. By the way, air defense is extremely costly. Air firing of missile systems are much more cheaper. So they have invested in ballistic missile system. They have invested in rockets. In this rockets, you're not counting of the Hezbollah rockets. You're not counting what is
But
with
where
Hamas.
is- That's
right?
a very important point. And then you have the naval power, 107-62. So where is the Navy? Why aren't they using
No, they have.
offshore?
They will use the Navy, and I think they have already started using the Navy.
How?
I
In
believe
what
that yesterday
capacity?
night. No, the Navy is very potent of Iranians. That's the most dangerous element. They got unmanned systems, which can they can have a system which can lay mines, which will block Strait of Hormuz for at least couple of months, if not 2 years, which has been anticipated. More importantly, they got
Frigates and submarines also they have.
The point in
Yes.
this is, you see, remember that as far as Iran is concerned, the number may be there, but they are not state of art. And second thing is that what is Iran capability? Iran Navy is more of a regional because it's more of a defensive. Now, there was a challenge, what they were trying to do, what Iran was doing, when this two aircraft carrier group has come, Abraham Lincoln as well as US Gerald Ford. Now, they were trying to hit one of these ships. And how do they do that? They have a very good water drones. They have got speed boats. That was the challenge which was there with the American, but they have taken care of it. So the point is that as far as
Is that also
Iran
the
is
reason
concerned,
why-
their Navy is not state of art.
Okay, so is that the reason why, sir, the US fleet is sitting in the Eastern Mediterranean and not in the Arabian Sea?
absolutely. So the
Out of
distance,
the-
the range of Iranian Navy to strike, right? If you look at only through the rockets and through the missile system which are on these fast boats, they got a range of moving about 150 kilometers deep and then firing rocket systems or missile systems which are actually flat trajectory, which are much more dangerous because it takes time to pick them up and thereafter neutralize, and they're pretty fast.
Yeah.
The ranges are about 300 kilometers. So they need the American carrier group has to ensure that they got a distance of at least standoff distance about 300 to 400 kilometers. While they have the ranges of aircrafts to fly in and carry out the strikes, but they don't have the ranges. They need to protect themselves, and that is why the distances are there.
Well, that's roughly how this equation works out on the ground. But let's go back to those pictures, because what we are now hearing, viewers, is that there's a fresh wave of attacks. So at mid-morning point here in New Delhi, we're getting news that we were getting yesterday mid-evening or late evening, weren't we?
Sixth wave is what the
Sixth
IRGC is calling it.
Doha.
A few are landing. These
Yeah.
are also activation of sirens that have happened. Now, the only real damage, which I believe has happened via missiles, Rahul, not via drones, is actually in Tel Aviv. There was already report of some that had landed till last evening, and I think there are more explosions being heard in Tel Aviv.
If we have
that may
Captain
be
Vinod
captured
with
by
us, and if we
interceptors.
have George with us, I want to go back to both of them. Let's go back to the visuals, Director Saab. Let's go back to the big visuals. We'll come back, of course, to all these other graphics in just a few moments because we can discuss the various combat capabilities. But here are the visuals. Captain Vinod, a couple of questions to you. How do these operations take place? Are they difficult to intercept? Why are we seeing so much terror across significant geographies? We are not talking about just one area like Dubai. Now, this is an extended sweep of the coastline of the UAE states of the Gulf.
I'll just take the lead from what the general was saying. And like I was saying earlier, the missile technology of Iran is no less. It's very potent. In fact, I feel Russians have helped them a lot. Those, mushroom kind of a missile that you see is very similar to the Oceanic missile that Russia has in its kitty. Oceanic is impossible to intercept for simple reason. Oceanic comes at hypersonic speeds. Your interceptor missile is on maximum trisonic. It's only 3 Mach. So how can you catch up with something which is flying at 5 to 7 times the speed of sound with something which is only flying at 3 times the speed of sound? Impossible. So they are those missiles in numbers is less in Iran. Those are the ones which are making it to Tel Aviv unimpeded. Let's get that part aside. You were talking about the drones, whether it is Shahid drones or Yaya drones or all kinds of drones that Iran has. They are extremely low-cost drones. Like I was telling you, I have seen one physically up and close. In less than Indian rupees, 4 to 5 lakh rupees, you can muster these drones. A point about overlooking the Strait of Hormuz, which both of you were talking about. Iran has a stranglehold from Hormuz down to where Kuwait is, the entire Gulf, because Iran is sitting on a higher mountain. So the north of this particular Gulf, if you look at this terrain in 3 dimensions, it's hills. And from there,
Okay, more
none
pictures.
of these...
Have a look at